Welcome to this gentle exploration of one of nature's most intriguing mysteries. Do animals dream like we do? Over the next sections, we will journey through history, science, and culture to examine what researchers have discovered about sleep and dreaming across the animal kingdom. We will begin with ancient observations and the first written records of animal sleep, then move through the scientific revolution that revealed the stages of sleep and the discovery of REM. We will look closely at specific animals: dogs, cats, rats, birds, octopuses, reptiles, sharks, dolphins, elephants, and many others, and what current research tells us about their sleep patterns and possible dream states. Along the way, we will also explore how different cultures around the world have understood and interpreted animal sleep and dreams, from ancient civilizations to indigenous traditions. We will examine the evolutionary history of sleep and dreaming, the remarkable adaptations some animals have developed, such as unihemispheric sleep in dolphins or constant swimming in many sharks, and what these tell us about the fundamental purposes of rest. Each section will present the best available scientific evidence alongside fascinating historical and cultural context, all in a calm and measured way. By the end of the series, you will have a clear picture of what we know, what remains mysterious, and how the capacity for dreamlike states appears to be far more widespread in the living world than once thought. Whether you are curious about the twitching paws of a sleeping dog, the color-changing skin of a resting octopus, or the ongoing scientific debate about whether dolphins truly dream, this series will guide you through the evidence with clarity and wonder. Let us begin. Do animals dream like we do? Ancient Observations and Early Beliefs, Section 2 of 5. Long before modern science, humans observed the sleep of animals and wondered about it. One of the earliest and most influential thinkers to write systematically about animal sleep was the Greek philosopher Aristotle in the 4th century BCE. In works such as History of Animals and On Sleep and Sleeplessness Aristotle noted that almost all animals appear to sleep, although the duration and manner vary greatly. He observed that some animals, such as fish and certain insects, seem to rest without fully closing their eyes or becoming completely still, leading him to question whether they truly slept in the same way as land mammals. Aristotle also recorded behavioral signs that we now associate with dreaming. He described dogs twitching and making small movements during sleep, and he speculated that animals might experience some form of mental activity while resting. These observations were remarkably astute for the time and laid the foundation for later inquiry. Aristotle believed sleep served a restorative purpose for the body and that it was linked to the digestive process, an idea that persisted in various forms for centuries. In ancient Egypt, sleep and dreams held spiritual significance. Animals were often seen as embodiments of gods or as possessing their own spirits that could travel during sleep. Cats in particular were revered and associated with the goddess Bastet. While direct writings on animal dreaming are limited, the broader cultural view was that the boundary between waking life, sleep, and the spirit world was permeable for both humans and animals. In many indigenous cultures around the world, animals have long been understood to possess consciousness and spiritual lives that include dreaming. Among various Native American traditions, for example, animals are seen as teachers and relatives whose dreams and visions can offer guidance. Dreams are not considered private mental events, but part of a larger web of relationships that includes the animal world. Similar perspectives appear in Australian Aboriginal Dreamtime stories, where ancestral beings, often in animal form, shape the land and continue to influence the present through dreams and stories. In ancient China, classical texts such as those associated with traditional medicine discussed the importance of balanced sleep for health in both humans and animals. Observers noted differences in sleep patterns among domestic animals and wild creatures, and some texts speculated on the mental states of sleeping animals. Dream interpretation was highly developed, and while most attention focused on human dreams, animals were sometimes included in symbolic systems. European medieval and Renaissance thinkers continued to build on Aristotelian ideas while adding new observations. Naturalists recorded the sleep behaviors of farm animals, hunting dogs, and exotic creatures brought back from voyages. The twitching and vocalizing of sleeping dogs was commonly noted and often interpreted as evidence that they were running or hunting in their sleep, an interpretation that aligns closely with modern scientific findings. These early observations and cultural beliefs reveal a long-standing human fascination with animal sleep and the possibility of inner experience. While pre-modern explanations were often framed in terms of spirits, humors, or divine order, they consistently recognized that animals enter states of rest that resemble human sleep and may involve some form of mental activity. The transition to systematic scientific study began in the 17th and 18th centuries with the rise of empirical observation and anatomy. Researchers began dissecting the brains of animals and correlating structure with function, setting the stage for the later discovery of distinct sleep stages. Yet even as science advanced, many of the questions first posed by Aristotle, do all animals sleep, what happens in their minds during rest, remain active areas of research today. In the following sections, we will see how modern tools such as EEG, video recording, and targeted experiments have transformed these ancient questions into precise scientific investigations, while cultural perspectives continue to enrich our understanding of the deep relationship between humans and the sleeping animal world. The modern scientific understanding of sleep and dreaming began to take shape in the mid-20th century, although important groundwork was laid earlier. In 1953, researchers Eugene Aserinsky and Michel Kleitman at the University of Chicago made a groundbreaking discovery while studying sleeping children and adults. They observed periods of rapid eye movements beneath closed lids, accompanied by heightened brain activity similar to wakefulness. They named this stage rapid eye movement, REM sleep, and noted its strong association with dreaming when subjects were awakened during these periods. This discovery transformed sleep research. Scientists realized that sleep was not a single uniform state, but consisted of distinct stages, with REM being particularly linked to vivid mental activity. Soon after, French researcher Michel Jouvet demonstrated that REM sleep also occurs in cats and other mammals. He showed that the same brain structures control REM sleep across species, and that the characteristic muscle atonia, temporary paralysis, during REM prevents animals from acting out their dreams. These findings provided the first solid neurophysiological evidence that animals experience brain states analogous to human dreaming. Subsequent studies using electroencephalography, EEG, confirmed that most mammals and many birds exhibit clear REM sleep cycles. Researchers began systematically recording brain waves, eye movements, and muscle activity in sleeping animals, comparing them directly to human patterns. One of the most important early behavioral studies came from Jouvet's work in the 1960s. By lesioning a specific part of the brainstem in cats, he removed the mechanism that causes muscle paralysis during REM sleep. The cats would then stand, walk, pounce, and display complex behaviors clearly resembling hunting or fighting, exactly the kinds of activities they performed while awake. This strongly suggested that cats dream about real-life experiences. Around the same time, researchers began studying dogs and found similar patterns: rapid eye movements, twitching limbs, vocalizations, and changes in breathing and heart rate during REM sleep. These observations matched what pet owners had long reported anecdotally about their sleeping dogs, running or barking in their sleep. The scientific community gradually accepted that REM sleep, and by extension the capacity for dreamlike mental activity, is widespread among mammals. Later research extended these findings to birds, reptiles, and even some invertebrates. The discovery of REM sleep thus marked a major turning point. What had once been philosophical speculation or cultural belief became measurable, observable science. In the sections that follow, we will examine the detailed evidence from specific animals, and see how these foundational discoveries have been expanded by modern techniques such as brain imaging, genetic studies, and long-term behavioral observation. The scientific revolution in sleep research not only confirmed that many animals dream, but also opened entirely new questions about the purpose and evolutionary origins of dreaming itself. Dogs are among the best-studied animals when it comes to sleep and dreaming, largely because they share our homes and display obvious behavioral signs during sleep. Scientific research confirms that dogs experience distinct sleep stages, including clear REM sleep, and that their brain activity during these periods strongly resembles patterns associated with dreaming in humans. Studies using EEG have shown that dogs go through the same basic sleep architecture as humans: light sleep, deep slow-wave sleep, and REM sleep. During REM, dogs exhibit rapid eye movements, changes in breathing and heart rate, and small muscle twitches, especially in the paws and face. Many dogs also vocalize softly, whimper, or make running motions with their legs. These behaviors are widely interpreted by researchers as signs that dogs are dreaming about activities from their waking lives. The content of dogs' dreams appears to be closely tied to their daily experiences. Just as humans often dream about events, people, or activities from the previous day, dogs seem to replay familiar routines. A dog that spends its days chasing balls or going for walks is more likely to show running or chasing movements during sleep. Dogs that are anxious or reactive may sometimes display more intense vocalizations or movements, suggesting they are processing emotional experiences. One particularly interesting line of research comes from studies on memory consolidation during sleep. Like humans, dogs appear to strengthen memories and learn from experiences while sleeping. Puppies and young dogs who are in a phase of rapid learning tend to spend more time in REM sleep than older dogs, a pattern also seen in human children. This supports the idea that dreaming plays a role in processing and storing new information. Researchers have also noted that the length of REM periods in dogs is generally shorter than in humans, but they occur more frequently throughout the sleep cycle. A typical dog sleep cycle lasts about 20–30 minutes, with REM making up a significant portion. Over a full night, dogs can experience multiple REM episodes, giving them ample opportunity for dream activity. Importantly, not all movements during sleep are dreaming. Dogs can also twitch or move during non-REM stages, especially when transitioning between sleep phases. However, the combination of rapid eye movements, changes in brain waves, and coordinated behaviors, such as running motions during specific periods, provides strong evidence for genuine dream states. Breed differences have also been observed. Smaller breeds tend to have more frequent but shorter REM episodes, while larger breeds may have longer periods of deep sleep. Age is another important factor. Puppies dream more than adult dogs, and senior dogs may show changes in sleep patterns similar to those seen in aging humans. Overall, the scientific evidence indicates that dogs do dream, and that their dreams are likely filled with the sights, sounds, smells, and emotions of their daily lives. When your dog twitches, whimpers, or moves its paws while sleeping, it is very probably reliving a walk, a play session, or another meaningful experience from its day. This connection between waking life and dreaming appears to be one of the most consistent findings across mammalian species studied so far. Do animals dream like we do? Cats and the classic experiments on dreaming, section 5 of 5. Cats have played a central role in the scientific study of animal dreaming, thanks in large part to the pioneering work of French neurophysiologist Michel Jouvet in the 1950s and 1960s. Jouvet's research provided some of the strongest early evidence that animals experience dreamlike states and helped establish many of the methods still used today. Jouvet demonstrated that cats, like humans and other mammals, have clear REM sleep. During these periods, cats show the characteristic rapid eye movements, changes in brain wave patterns, and most importantly, a profound muscle paralysis, atonia, that prevents them from acting out their dreams. When Jouvet surgically disabled the brainstem region responsible for this paralysis, the cats would stand up during REM sleep and perform complex, coordinated behaviors. They would arch their backs, hiss, pounce, and display movements clearly resembling hunting or fighting, exactly the activities cats perform while awake. These experiments were groundbreaking because they provided direct behavioral evidence that cats dream about real-life experiences. The cats were not simply twitching randomly, they were enacting sequences of actions that matched their waking behavior. This strongly supported the idea that dreaming involves the mental replay or simulation of daily activities. Modern research has built on Jouvet's findings with more advanced techniques. EEG and video recordings show that cats spend a remarkably large amount of time in REM sleep, up to 8 hours per day in some cases, far more than adult humans. Kittens and young cats spend even more time in REM, consistent with the pattern seen across mammals that more REM sleep occurs during periods of rapid learning and brain development. Behavioral observations of sleeping cats also support the dreaming hypothesis. Many cat owners notice their pets twitching whiskers, moving paws as if kneading or pouncing, or making soft vocalizations during sleep. These movements often occur during periods that match the timing of REM sleep, identified by brain recordings. Researchers believe cats likely dream about hunting, exploring their territory, social interactions, and other routine activities. Because cats are highly sensory animals, their dreams probably incorporate rich tactile, visual, and olfactory information. The kneading motions many cats make while sleeping may represent dreaming about nursing as kittens or marking territory as adults. Interestingly, cats also show periods of quiet sleep without REM, during which they remain still and brain activity is slower. The alternation between quiet sleep and active REM sleep follows a regular cycle, similar to the sleep architecture seen in dogs and humans. While we cannot know the exact subjective content of a cat's dreams, the combination of neurophysiological data and behavioral evidence makes a compelling case that cats do dream, and that their dreams are closely tied to their waking experiences. Jouvet's classic experiments remain some of the most elegant demonstrations in the history of sleep science and continue to influence how researchers study dreaming in animals today. In the next sections, we will turn to other species, including rats, birds, octopuses, and the remarkable adaptations seen in animals like sharks and dolphins that challenge our traditional ideas of what sleep even means. Rats have provided some of the most detailed and fascinating scientific insights into animal dreaming, thanks to landmark experiments conducted at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the late 1990s and early 2000s. These studies moved the field beyond simple behavioral observations and into direct measurement of what animals might be experiencing mentally during sleep. Researchers trained rats to run through a maze while recording the electrical activity of neurons in the hippocampus, the brain region heavily involved in spatial memory and navigation. They then allowed the same rats to sleep and continued recording brain activity during REM sleep. The results were striking. The patterns of neuronal firing during sleep closely matched the patterns recorded while the rats were awake and exploring the maze. In many cases, researchers could tell from the brain activity alone which part of the maze the rat was replaying in its sleep. Even more remarkably, the rats did not simply replay their experiences in the exact order they occurred. Analysis showed that they sometimes ran the maze routes in reverse, and in some cases appeared to combine elements from different experiences to form new sequences. This suggested that rats are not only consolidating memories during sleep, but may also be engaging in a form of mental simulation or imagination, recombining past experiences in novel ways. These findings have profound implications. They indicate that the cognitive functions we associate with dreaming in humans, memory processing, problem solving, and even creative recombination of experiences, may also occur in other mammals. The rat studies provided some of the first direct evidence that dreaming serves important adaptive functions beyond simple rest. Subsequent research has built on these foundations. Scientists have used more advanced recording techniques and larger mazes to study how rats process increasingly complex spatial information during sleep. They have also examined how sleep affects learning and performance on memory tasks the following day. Rats that are deprived of REM sleep show impaired ability to retain spatial memories, supporting the idea that dreaming plays a functional role in learning. The amount of time rats spend in REM sleep varies with age and experience. Young rats, like young humans, spend a larger proportion of their sleep in REM compared to adults. This pattern is consistent across many mammalian species and suggests that REM sleep and dreaming are especially important during periods of rapid brain development and learning. Researchers have also investigated the emotional content of rat dreams. By exposing rats to mildly stressful or rewarding experiences before sleep and then analyzing brain activity, scientists have found evidence that emotional events are processed during REM sleep. This parallels findings in humans, where emotional experiences are often incorporated into dreams and appear to be regulated during sleep. While we cannot know with certainty what it feels like for a rat to dream, the combination of precise neurophysiological data and behavioral outcomes provides strong evidence that rats experience rich mental activity during sleep. Their dreams appear to involve replaying and reorganizing spatial memories, processing emotional experiences, and possibly simulating future actions. These studies on rats have become foundational in the broader field of sleep and memory research. They have influenced how scientists think about the purpose of dreaming not just in animals but in humans as well. The idea that dreaming helps consolidate memories, regulate emotions, and support learning is now widely accepted, and much of the evidence supporting this view comes from careful work with rats and other rodents. In the sections that follow, we will see how similar principles of memory processing and mental simulation appear in other species, from birds rehearsing songs to octopuses showing active patterns during rest. The rat studies remain one of the clearest windows we have into the inner world of animal minds during sleep. Birds provide some of the most elegant evidence that animals rehearse complex behaviors during sleep. Many bird species, especially songbirds, learn intricate vocalizations that are essential for mating, territory defense, and social communication. Research has shown that this learning continues during sleep through a process that closely resembles dreaming. The most detailed studies have been conducted on zebra finches. Researchers recorded the brain activity associated with singing while the birds were awake. They then allowed the birds to sleep and continued recording from the same brain areas. During periods of REM-like sleep, the brain activity patterns closely matched those recorded during actual singing. This strongly suggests that the birds were mentally rehearsing their songs while asleep. This song rehearsal appears to serve an important learning function. Young birds that are still mastering their songs show particularly strong replay activity during sleep. The brain seems to be practicing and refining the motor patterns needed for accurate singing, much as a human musician might mentally rehearse a piece before a performance. Studies have shown that disrupting sleep in young songbirds impairs their ability to develop normal adult song, highlighting the critical role of sleep in vocal learning. Interestingly, birds do not simply replay their songs in exact sequence. Analysis of brain activity shows that they sometimes practice specific difficult phrases repeatedly or combine elements from different parts of their repertoire. This selective rehearsal suggests a sophisticated form of mental practice rather than simple repetition. The discovery of song rehearsal in birds has important evolutionary implications. It shows that the capacity for complex mental simulation during sleep is not limited to mammals. Birds and mammals diverged hundreds of millions of years ago, yet both groups show evidence of using sleep for active mental processing. This suggests that the functions of dreaming may be deeply conserved across different branches of the animal kingdom. Beyond songbirds, other bird species also show signs of active sleep. Studies on pigeons and other birds have documented REM-like states with associated brain activity. While the content of their mental activity is harder to study than song rehearsal, the presence of similar sleep architecture suggests that dreaming or dreamlike processing may be widespread among avian species. Sleep patterns in birds also differ from mammals in interesting ways. Birds can engage in unihemispheric sleep, in which one half of the brain rests while the other remains partially alert, an adaptation that allows them to keep one eye open for predators while resting. Despite this difference, they still experience periods of more active sleep that resemble REM. The study of bird sleep has also contributed to our understanding of the relationship between sleep and learning more generally. The clear link between sleep and song development in zebra finches has inspired research into how sleep supports other forms of learning across species, including humans. The idea that sleep is not merely restorative but actively involved in processing and strengthening memories is now a central concept in neuroscience. As research continues, scientists are using increasingly sophisticated techniques, including high-density electrode arrays and real-time brain imaging, to study sleep in birds with greater precision. These advances are revealing ever more detail about how birds use sleep to perfect their vocalizations and process other experiences from their waking lives. The evidence from birds adds an important dimension to our understanding of animal dreaming. It shows that the mental activity during sleep can be highly specific and functionally important, serving clear adaptive purposes such as skill learning and memory consolidation. Whether birds experience subjective dreams in the same way humans do remains unknown, but the functional parallels are striking and continue to inform research across the field of sleep science. Among the most surprising discoveries in recent sleep research is the evidence that even some invertebrates show signs of active, dreamlike sleep states. Octopuses and cuttlefish, with their highly developed nervous systems and complex behaviors, have become particularly important subjects for studying the evolutionary origins of sleep and dreaming. Octopuses have the largest brains of any invertebrate and display remarkable intelligence, problem-solving abilities, and behavioral flexibility. When researchers began observing their sleep patterns, they noticed something remarkable. During periods of rest, octopuses frequently change color and skin texture in ways that closely resemble their waking behaviors. These changes are not random. They often match patterns associated with hunting, camouflage, or social signaling. In cuttlefish, researchers have documented rapid and frequent changes in skin patterns during quiet rest periods, accompanied by movements of the eyes and arms. These active sleep-like states alternate with quieter periods, suggesting distinct sleep stages similar to those seen in vertebrates. The color and pattern changes are controlled by the brain and appear to reflect internal neural activity rather than external stimuli. While we cannot know what an octopus subjectively experiences during these states, the physiological and behavioral parallels to vertebrate REM sleep are striking. The animals appear to be in a state of reduced responsiveness to the environment while their brains remain active, processing information in ways that produce visible outputs, color changes. This has led many researchers to suggest that cephalopods may experience some form of dreamlike mental activity. The discovery of active sleep in octopuses and cuttlefish has important implications for our understanding of the evolution of sleep. Cephalopods and vertebrates diverged more than 500 million years ago, yet both groups show evidence of complex sleep states with active phases. This suggests that the basic functions of sleep, including periods of heightened internal brain activity, may have evolved very early in the history of complex nervous systems. Studies on octopus sleep have also revealed other intriguing features. Octopuses sometimes enter a state in which they appear to stop breathing for short periods, followed by bursts of activity. Their skin patterns during these active phases can be highly specific and coordinated, suggesting organized neural processing rather than random firing. Researchers are now using advanced recording techniques to study brain activity directly in sleeping cephalopods. Early results show distinct patterns of neural activity during active versus quiet rest periods, further supporting the idea of sleep stages. Some studies have even suggested that octopuses may replay or process experiences from their waking lives during these active sleep phases, similar to memory replay observed in rats. The study of sleep in invertebrates challenges traditional views that complex dreaming requires a mammalian or avian brain. It suggests that the capacity for rich internal mental states during rest may be more fundamental to nervous system function than previously thought. As research continues, scientists are discovering that sleep is far more diverse and widespread than once believed. While much remains to be learned about what cephalopods experience during their active sleep states, the evidence clearly shows that these animals enter periods of reduced behavioral responsiveness, accompanied by organized, complex brain activity. Whether this constitutes dreaming in the human sense is a philosophical question, but the functional and physiological similarities to vertebrate sleep are undeniable and continue to reshape our understanding of the evolution of consciousness and rest. Reptiles occupy a key position in the evolutionary story of sleep and dreaming. As the group from which both birds and mammals evolved, understanding sleep in reptiles helps us trace the origins of the complex sleep patterns we see in warm-blooded animals today. For many years, it was thought that reptiles did not have true REM sleep. Their sleep appeared more uniform, lacking the distinct stages seen in mammals and birds. However, more recent research using improved recording techniques has revealed that at least some reptiles do exhibit sleep cycles with phases that resemble REM sleep. One of the most important studies was conducted on Australian bearded dragons. Researchers implanted electrodes to record brain activity while the lizards slept. They discovered clear alternations between two distinct sleep states, one characterized by slow brain waves similar to slow-wave sleep in mammals, and another with faster, more desynchronized activity accompanied by eye movements and occasional body twitches. These active phases share key features with REM sleep. The discovery of REM-like sleep in bearded dragons pushed back the evolutionary origin of this sleep stage by hundreds of millions of years. It suggests that the basic architecture of alternating sleep states evolved very early in the lineage of amniotes, the group that includes reptiles, birds, and mammals, long before the emergence of warm-blooded animals. Other reptiles have also shown evidence of complex sleep. Studies on various lizard species have documented periods of reduced responsiveness, accompanied by changes in brain activity and occasional movements. While the patterns are not always identical to mammalian REM sleep, the presence of distinct sleep stages appears widespread among reptiles. The functions of these sleep stages in reptiles are still being investigated. It is likely that they serve similar purposes to those in mammals and birds: memory processing, brain maintenance, and possibly some form of internal mental activity. However, because reptiles have different brain structures and metabolic rates, the exact nature of their dreaming may differ from what we see in warm-blooded animals. Temperature plays an important role in reptile sleep. Being ectothermic, cold-blooded, reptiles' body temperature and metabolic rate are strongly influenced by their environment. Sleep patterns can change significantly depending on temperature, with some species showing more active sleep phases when warmer. This environmental sensitivity adds another layer of complexity to understanding sleep in reptiles compared to mammals and birds. Despite these differences, the presence of REM-like sleep in reptiles provides important clues about the deep evolutionary history of dreaming. It suggests that the capacity for active internal brain states during rest is an ancient feature of complex nervous systems, predating the evolution of birds and mammals by a very long time. Ongoing research continues to explore sleep in a wider range of reptile species, including snakes and turtles. Each new study adds to our understanding of how sleep has diversified across different branches of the animal kingdom. The bearded dragon studies, in particular, have become landmarks in sleep science because they demonstrate that the fundamental features of mammalian and avian sleep have roots that extend deep into evolutionary time. As we learn more about reptile sleep, we gain a clearer picture of how dreaming and complex sleep states first emerged and how they have been modified in different lineages. This evolutionary perspective helps us understand not only animal dreaming, but also the fundamental nature of sleep and consciousness in our own species. Some of the most fascinating questions in sleep research arise when we consider animals that never truly stop moving. Many shark species, along with certain fish and marine mammals, present a unique challenge to our understanding of sleep because they must remain active to survive. Many sharks are obligate ram ventilators. They must keep swimming continuously to force water over their gills and extract oxygen. If they stop moving, they can suffocate. This raises an obvious question: do these animals ever sleep? The answer appears to be that they enter periods of rest while still swimming, a state sometimes called sleep swimming. During these rest periods, sharks show reduced responsiveness to their surroundings and changes in brain activity that resemble sleep states in other animals. Some species have been observed slowing their swimming speed and becoming less reactive while still maintaining forward movement. Researchers have recorded periods of lower brain activity and reduced muscle tone during these times, suggesting a form of rest even though the animal never stops moving. Other shark species have evolved different solutions. Some can pump water over their gills while stationary, allowing them to rest on the seafloor. These sharks show more conventional sleep-like behavior, becoming still and less responsive for periods of time. Studies on species such as the nurse shark have documented clear rest periods with reduced sensory responsiveness and changes in brain activity. The situation becomes even more complex when we consider unihemispheric sleep in marine mammals such as dolphins. Dolphins sleep with only one half of their brain at a time, allowing the other half to remain alert for breathing and predator detection. This adaptation means they never experience the complete loss of consciousness that characterizes sleep in most terrestrial mammals. Whether they experience dreamlike states during these periods remains an active area of scientific debate. Research on fish sleep has also revealed surprising diversity. Many fish species show clear periods of rest with reduced activity and responsiveness. Some fish even build nests or find sheltered spots where they can rest more securely. Brain recordings in zebrafish and other species have shown distinct sleep-like states with changes in neural activity similar to those seen in other vertebrates. The study of sleep in constantly swimming animals challenges traditional definitions of sleep that emphasize behavioral stillness and reduced responsiveness. It shows that sleep can take many forms depending on the ecological pressures an animal faces. For some species, sleep may mean a change in brain state and reduced awareness while the body continues necessary movements. These examples also raise interesting questions about the relationship between sleep and dreaming. If an animal never fully loses consciousness or stops moving, can it still experience dreamlike mental activity? Current evidence suggests that periods of reduced brain activity and internal processing can still occur even in animals that must remain active. Ongoing research using new recording technologies is helping scientists better understand sleep in marine animals. Miniaturized devices attached to free-swimming sharks and fish are providing data on brain activity, movement patterns, and environmental conditions during rest periods. These studies are revealing that even animals with highly constrained lifestyles have evolved sophisticated ways to obtain the benefits of sleep. The cases of sharks and other constantly active animals remind us that sleep is not a single uniform phenomenon, but a diverse set of adaptations shaped by evolution. As we continue to study these remarkable creatures, we gain new appreciation for the flexibility of biological systems and the many ways animals have solved the fundamental challenge of balancing rest with the demands of survival. One of the most important functions of sleep and dreaming across the animal kingdom appears to be memory consolidation, the process by which experiences from the day are strengthened, organized, and stored for long-term use. This function has been demonstrated in a wide range of species and represents one of the strongest scientific links between human and animal dreaming. In mammals, the hippocampus plays a central role in this process. During wakefulness, the hippocampus records experiences as patterns of neural activity. During sleep, particularly during REM and slow-wave sleep, these patterns are replayed. This replay helps transfer information from short-term to long-term storage and strengthens important memories while weakening less relevant ones. The rat studies discussed earlier provide some of the clearest evidence for this process. When rats explore a maze, specific patterns of hippocampal activity are recorded. During subsequent sleep, these same patterns reappear in a compressed form. This replay is thought to be the neural basis of memory consolidation. Importantly, the replay is not always exact. Sometimes it occurs in reverse or combines elements from different experiences, suggesting the brain is actively organizing and integrating information rather than simply storing it. Similar memory replay has been observed in other mammals, including primates. Studies using brain recordings in monkeys have shown that patterns associated with specific tasks or locations are reactivated during sleep. This reactivation is linked to improved performance on memory tasks the following day, providing direct evidence that sleep supports learning. Birds also show strong evidence of memory processing during sleep. In addition to song rehearsal, studies have shown that sleep helps birds remember locations of food caches and other spatial information. The amount of sleep after a learning experience can directly affect how well the information is retained. Even in invertebrates, there is evidence that sleep supports memory. Studies on fruit flies have shown that sleep deprivation impairs memory formation, while adequate sleep after training improves retention. Although flies do not have a hippocampus, they have brain structures that perform analogous functions, and sleep appears to play a similar consolidating role. The mechanisms of memory consolidation during sleep appear to be highly conserved across species. Slow-wave sleep is often associated with the initial stabilization of memories, while REM sleep may be more involved in integrating new memories with existing knowledge and emotional processing. This two-stage model helps explain why both types of sleep are important for optimal learning and memory. Research has also shown that the content of dreams can reflect this memory processing. In humans, dreams often incorporate elements from recent experiences, sometimes in distorted or combined forms. Similar incorporation of daily experiences has been inferred in animals from the patterns of brain activity during sleep. The link between sleep, dreaming, and memory has important practical implications. It helps explain why sleep deprivation impairs learning and cognitive performance across species. It also suggests that the mental activity we experience as dreaming is not random, but serves important biological functions related to learning and adaptation. As research continues, scientists are uncovering more details about exactly how memories are selected, strengthened, and integrated during sleep. Advanced recording techniques now allow researchers to track individual memories through the sleep cycle in animals, providing unprecedented insight into this fundamental process. The evidence clearly shows that memory consolidation during sleep is one of the core functions of dreaming across the animal kingdom. In addition to memory consolidation, sleep and dreaming appear to play important roles in emotional processing and threat simulation across many animal species. This function helps animals prepare for potential dangers and regulate emotional responses, contributing to survival and well-being. Studies in rats have shown that emotional experiences are processed during REM sleep. When rats are exposed to mildly stressful situations, patterns of brain activity associated with those experiences reappear during sleep. This reactivation is thought to help the brain process and regulate emotional memories, reducing their intensity over time while retaining important information. Similar emotional processing has been observed in other mammals. Dogs and cats often show signs of processing emotionally significant events during sleep. For example, a dog that had an exciting or stressful day may show more intense movements or vocalizations during REM sleep. This suggests that dreaming helps animals work through emotional experiences in a safe, internal environment. The threat simulation theory of dreaming proposes that one important function of dreams is to rehearse responses to potential dangers. According to this theory, the brain generates realistic threat scenarios during sleep so that the animal can practice appropriate responses without real-world risk. This idea has received support from both human and animal studies. In animals, evidence for threat simulation comes from observations of dreaming behaviors. Dogs that have experienced threatening situations may show defensive or aggressive movements during sleep. Cats that have been involved in conflicts sometimes display hissing or pouncing movements during REM sleep. These behaviors suggest the animals are mentally rehearsing responses to danger. Birds also show evidence of emotional processing during sleep. Studies have shown that sleep helps regulate stress responses and emotional memories in birds. The amount and quality of sleep after a stressful experience can affect how well the bird recovers and performs on subsequent tasks. Even in invertebrates, there is evidence that sleep helps regulate internal states. Octopuses and cuttlefish show changes in behavior and physiology after stressful experiences, and sleep appears to play a role in recovery. While we cannot directly measure emotional states in these animals, the presence of active sleep phases suggests organized internal processing. The emotional regulation function of dreaming has important implications for understanding anxiety and stress-related disorders. In humans, disrupted sleep is strongly linked to problems with emotional regulation. Similar patterns appear in animals. Sleep deprivation often leads to increased anxiety-like behaviors and impaired ability to cope with stress. Research has also shown that the content of dreams can reflect current emotional concerns. Animals that are in new or challenging environments tend to show more active dreaming behaviors, consistent with the idea that the brain uses sleep to process and adapt to emotional challenges. The combination of memory consolidation and emotional processing during sleep appears to be a powerful mechanism for helping animals adapt to their environments. By replaying experiences, simulating threats, and regulating emotions during sleep, animals can improve their performance and resilience when awake. This dual function helps explain why sleep is so essential across the animal kingdom and why disruptions in sleep have such wide-ranging effects on behavior and cognition. Scientists use a variety of sophisticated methods to study sleep and dreaming in animals. These techniques have evolved significantly over the decades and now allow researchers to gather detailed information about brain activity, behavior, and physiology during sleep. Electroencephalography, EEG, remains one of the most important tools. By placing electrodes on or in the brain, researchers can record the electrical activity that characterizes different sleep stages. REM sleep is typically identified by low voltage, fast brain waves similar to wakefulness, combined with rapid eye movements and muscle atonia. Slow wave sleep shows high voltage, slow waves. These patterns have been recorded in dozens of species and provide the foundation for identifying sleep stages across the animal kingdom. Video recording is another essential method. By filming animals while they sleep and correlating their movements with brain recordings, researchers can identify behaviors associated with dreaming. Twitching, vocalizing, and coordinated movements during REM sleep are strong indicators of dreamlike activity. High-speed video allows scientists to capture subtle movements that might otherwise be missed. Targeted experiments have provided some of the most compelling evidence. Michel Jouvet's classic studies on cats, in which he disabled muscle atonia during REM sleep, demonstrated that animals act out dream behaviors when the normal paralysis mechanism is removed. Similar lesion and stimulation studies have been used in other species to explore the brain mechanisms controlling sleep and dreaming. More recently, researchers have used advanced brain imaging techniques such as functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, and high-density electrode arrays. These tools allow scientists to see which specific brain regions are active during different phases of sleep, and to track the activity of individual neurons or small groups of neurons with great precision. In rats, researchers have used large numbers of electrodes implanted in the hippocampus to record the activity of hundreds of neurons simultaneously. This has allowed them to decode what the animal is thinking about during sleep by comparing sleep-related activity patterns to those recorded during specific waking experiences. Behavioral observation remains important, especially for species where brain recording is difficult. Careful observation of sleeping animals, combined with knowledge of their waking behavior, can provide strong clues about the content of their dreams. For example, dogs that spend their days herding sheep often show herding-like movements during sleep. Genetic and molecular techniques are also increasingly used. By studying the genes and proteins involved in sleep regulation, researchers can identify the molecular mechanisms that control sleep stages and dream-related brain activity. These approaches are helping to reveal why some animals sleep more than others and how sleep is adapted to different ecological niches. Combining multiple methods often provides the strongest evidence. When brain recordings, video observations, and behavioral experiments all point to the same conclusion, that an animal is experiencing dreamlike mental activity, the case becomes very compelling. Modern sleep research increasingly relies on this multi-method approach to build a comprehensive picture of animal dreaming. These scientific methods have transformed our understanding of animal sleep from speculation to measurable, reproducible science. They continue to reveal new details about how animals experience the world during sleep and what functions dreaming serves across different species. Despite tremendous progress in sleep research, there are still significant limitations in what we can know about animal dreaming. These limitations are important to acknowledge because they shape how we interpret the available evidence and what questions remain open for future research. The most fundamental limitation is that we cannot directly access the subjective experience of animals. We can measure brain activity, observe behavior, and conduct clever experiments, but we cannot ask an animal what it experienced during sleep. This means that while we can identify brain states analogous to human dreaming, we cannot know with certainty what those states feel like from the animal's perspective. Another limitation concerns the content of dreams. Even when we can show that an animal is replaying specific experiences during sleep, as in the rat maze studies, we cannot know the exact subjective content. The rat may be seeing the maze, feeling the movements, or experiencing the memory in some other way that we cannot access. Our interpretations are necessarily indirect. Technical limitations also exist. While EEG and video recording are powerful, they do not capture everything that happens in the brain during sleep. Some brain regions are difficult to record from, and subtle changes in activity may go undetected. Newer techniques are improving this situation, but gaps remain. Species differences present another challenge. Most detailed sleep research has been conducted on a relatively small number of species, primarily rats, mice, cats, dogs, and a few bird species. We know much less about sleep in the vast majority of animals, including most wild species, marine animals, and invertebrates. Generalizations from well-studied species to all animals must be made cautiously. The definition of dreaming itself is also somewhat problematic when applied to animals. In humans, dreaming typically refers to subjective experiences during sleep that we can report upon waking. Since animals cannot report their experiences, researchers rely on indirect measures. Different researchers sometimes use slightly different criteria for what counts as evidence of dreaming, which can lead to debates about specific findings. There are also practical and ethical limitations. Some experiments that would provide valuable information, such as more invasive brain recordings or sleep deprivation studies, are restricted by ethical considerations. Researchers must balance the desire for knowledge with the welfare of the animals involved. Despite these limitations, the overall picture is remarkably consistent. Across many species and using many different methods, the evidence points to the widespread presence of sleep states that share key features with human dreaming. The limitations remind us to be careful in our interpretations, while also highlighting how much we have learned from the evidence that is available. Future research will likely address many of these limitations. New recording technologies, genetic tools, and non-invasive imaging methods are expanding what is possible. Comparative studies across more species will help us understand the full diversity of sleep and dreaming in the animal kingdom. While we may never know exactly what it is like to be a dreaming rat or octopus, we are steadily building a more complete and accurate picture of animal sleep and its functions. While octopuses and cuttlefish have received the most attention among invertebrates, sleep-like states have been documented in a much wider range of invertebrate species. These findings are expanding our understanding of how widespread and ancient the capacity for complex rest states really is. Spiders show clear periods of rest with reduced responsiveness. Some species build special sleeping webs or retreats where they spend the night with reduced activity. Researchers have observed that spiders are less responsive to stimuli during these periods and show changes in heart rate and other physiological measures consistent with rest. While we do not yet have detailed brain recordings from sleeping spiders, the behavioral evidence strongly suggests sleep-like states. Insects have been studied more extensively. Fruit flies, Drosophila, show clear sleep-like behavior. They become immobile for extended periods, are less responsive to stimuli, and show a homeostatic response. They sleep more after being kept awake. Genetic studies in flies have identified many of the same genes involved in sleep regulation in mammals, suggesting deep conservation of sleep mechanisms. Bees and other social insects also show sleep-like states. Honeybees have been observed to become immobile at night with reduced responsiveness. Some studies suggest that sleep in bees is important for memory consolidation, particularly for spatial memories related to foraging locations. This parallels findings in mammals and birds. Even more surprising, sleep-like states have been documented in very simple organisms. The tiny freshwater polyp hydra, which has one of the simplest nervous systems among animals, shows periods of reduced activity and responsiveness that meet many of the behavioral criteria for sleep. This suggests that the basic functions of sleep may predate the evolution of complex brains. The study of sleep in invertebrates is still relatively young compared to research on mammals and birds, but it is growing rapidly. New techniques for recording from small brains and observing behavior in natural settings are revealing that sleep is far more widespread than once thought. These findings have important implications for understanding the evolution of sleep and dreaming. If even very simple animals show sleep-like states, then the fundamental functions of sleep, whatever they may be, must be very ancient and basic to nervous system function. The more complex forms of dreaming we see in mammals and birds likely evolved by building on these ancient foundations. While we are still far from understanding what, if anything, a sleeping spider or bee subjectively experiences, the presence of organized rest states across such a wide range of invertebrates suggests that sleep serves fundamental biological purposes that are shared across much of the animal kingdom. As research continues, we can expect to learn much more about how these basic sleep mechanisms have been elaborated in different lineages to produce the rich variety of sleep and dreaming we see today. One of the most striking findings in sleep research is how much the amount and characteristics of REM sleep vary across different animal groups. These variations provide important clues about the functions of dreaming and how sleep has been shaped by evolution and ecology. Among mammals, there is enormous variation in REM sleep. Domestic cats can spend up to 8 hours per day in REM sleep, while elephants have very little REM and often sleep standing or in short bouts. Smaller mammals tend to have more REM sleep than larger ones, and species with higher metabolic rates generally sleep more. These patterns suggest that REM sleep is influenced by both body size and energy demands. Birds also show significant variation. Songbirds that are actively learning new songs tend to have more REM sleep than adults with stable repertoires. Migratory birds may adjust their sleep patterns dramatically during migration, sometimes sleeping very little while still maintaining performance. This flexibility highlights how sleep can be adapted to changing environmental demands. Reptiles generally have less distinct REM sleep than mammals and birds, but as discussed earlier, species like bearded dragons do show phases with features resembling REM. The amount of active sleep in reptiles appears to be influenced by temperature, with warmer conditions often associated with more active phases. Among marine mammals, the situation is particularly interesting. Dolphins and other cetaceans show unihemispheric sleep, in which one half of the brain rests while the other remains active. This means they never experience the complete loss of consciousness typical of terrestrial mammals. Whether they have true REM sleep remains debated, though some muscle jerks and other signs have been observed. Sharks and fish present another set of adaptations. Many species must keep swimming to breathe, so they cannot become completely still. Instead, they appear to enter periods of reduced brain activity and responsiveness while maintaining movement. Some fish show clear rest periods with changes in brain waves, while others seem to rest one hemisphere or part of the brain at a time. Invertebrates show even more diversity. While octopuses have active sleep phases with color changes, many other invertebrates have simpler rest states. The amount of time spent in rest varies enormously depending on the species, lifestyle, and environment. These variations suggest that REM sleep and dreaming have been modified in different lineages to meet specific ecological needs. Animals that face high predation risk may sleep less or in different ways than those in safer environments. Animals with high energy demands or complex learning requirements may invest more in REM sleep. Despite these differences, the core features of sleep, periods of reduced responsiveness accompanied by changes in brain activity, appear across a remarkably wide range of animals. This suggests that the fundamental functions of sleep are ancient and conserved, even as the specific expression of those functions has diversified. Understanding this diversity helps us appreciate both the unity and variety of animal sleep. It also reminds us that human sleep patterns represent just one solution among many that evolution has produced. By studying this diversity, we gain a richer understanding of what sleep and dreaming are really for. Unihemispheric sleep, in which one half of the brain rests while the other remains awake, is one of the most remarkable adaptations in the animal kingdom. It is found in several groups, including dolphins, other marine mammals, and many birds. This type of sleep has important implications for our understanding of dreaming. In dolphins, unihemispheric sleep allows the animal to continue swimming, breathing, and monitoring the environment while one half of the brain rests. The eye opposite the resting hemisphere is often closed, while the other eye remains open. This adaptation is essential for an animal that must surface regularly to breathe and cannot afford long periods of unconsciousness. The question of whether dolphins experience dreamlike states during unihemispheric sleep is still debated. Because only one hemisphere is resting at a time, they never experience the full REM sleep seen in terrestrial mammals. However, some studies have reported muscle jerks and other signs that might indicate dreamlike activity. Whether these represent true dreaming remains unclear. Birds also engage in unihemispheric sleep, particularly when in risky environments. They can keep one eye open and one hemisphere alert while the other rests. This allows them to remain vigilant for predators while still obtaining some rest. Studies have shown that birds in more dangerous situations spend more time in unihemispheric sleep. The existence of unihemispheric sleep raises interesting questions about the relationship between brain activity and dreaming. If dreaming requires coordinated activity across both hemispheres, then animals with unihemispheric sleep might experience different or more limited forms of dreaming. Alternatively, each hemisphere might be capable of generating dreamlike states independently. Research on unihemispheric sleep has also provided insights into the functions of sleep. The fact that animals can survive with only half their brain resting at a time suggests that some functions of sleep can be performed by one hemisphere alone. However, the need for periodic rest in both hemispheres indicates that there are also functions that require the whole brain. Studies comparing unihemispheric and bihemispheric sleep have helped researchers understand which aspects of sleep are most critical. Memory consolidation and emotional processing, for example, may be able to occur in one hemisphere at a time, while other functions might require coordinated activity across both sides of the brain. The study of unihemispheric sleep also has implications for understanding human sleep disorders and the effects of sleep deprivation. It shows that the brain has remarkable flexibility in how it obtains rest, and that complete loss of consciousness is not always necessary for restorative sleep. As research continues, scientists are using new technologies to study unihemispheric sleep in more detail. High-resolution recordings are revealing how the two hemispheres communicate or don't communicate during these states, and what this means for information processing and potential dreaming. These studies are expanding our understanding of the many ways animals have solved the challenge of obtaining rest while meeting the demands of their environments. The widespread presence of sleep and dreaming across the animal kingdom suggests that these states serve important adaptive functions. While researchers are still working to fully understand these functions, several key roles have emerged from scientific studies. Memory consolidation is one of the most clearly demonstrated functions. By replaying and strengthening memories during sleep, animals improve their ability to remember important information such as locations of food, safe routes, and social relationships. This enhanced memory directly improves survival chances by allowing animals to learn from experience more effectively. Threat simulation is another proposed function. By mentally rehearsing responses to potential dangers during dreams, animals may be better prepared to respond quickly and appropriately when real threats arise. This practice, in a safe internal environment, could provide a significant survival advantage. Emotional regulation appears to be another important function. Sleep helps process and regulate emotional experiences, reducing the impact of stress and helping animals maintain balanced emotional states. Animals that are sleep-deprived often show increased anxiety and impaired ability to cope with challenges. Skill learning and refinement is clearly demonstrated in songbirds, where sleep is essential for developing and maintaining complex vocalizations. Similar processes likely occur in other species for other skills, hunting techniques, navigation, social behaviors, and more. Energy conservation is a more basic but still important function. Sleep reduces metabolic rate and energy expenditure, which can be crucial for survival, especially for animals with limited food resources or high energy demands. The diversity of sleep patterns across species reflects different ecological pressures. Animals that face high predation risk may sleep less or in different ways than those in safer environments. Animals with complex learning requirements may invest more in REM sleep. This flexibility shows how sleep and dreaming have been shaped by natural selection to meet the specific needs of different species. Understanding these adaptive functions helps explain why sleep is so essential and why disruptions have such serious consequences. It also provides a framework for thinking about the evolution of dreaming and consciousness more broadly. The mental activity we experience as dreaming appears to be part of a suite of biological processes that help animals survive and thrive in their environments. As research continues, scientists are uncovering more specific ways in which dreaming contributes to adaptation. Studies combining behavioral observations, brain recordings, and ecological data are revealing how sleep patterns are fine-tuned to the challenges each species faces. This work is deepening our appreciation for the sophistication of animal minds and the many ways evolution has solved the fundamental problem of balancing activity with rest. The study of animal dreaming offers valuable insights into the nature of consciousness and the relationship between human and animal minds. By examining the similarities and differences in sleep and dreaming across species, researchers are gaining new perspectives on what it means to have a conscious experience. One of the most important parallels is the presence of REM sleep and associated brain activity across mammals, birds, and some reptiles. The fact that these diverse groups show similar sleep stages suggests that the basic mechanisms supporting dreaming are ancient and conserved. This implies that the capacity for rich internal mental states during sleep may be more fundamental to complex nervous systems than previously thought. The content of dreams also shows interesting parallels. In both humans and animals, dreams often incorporate elements from waking experiences. Rats replay maze routes, birds rehearse songs, and dogs show movements consistent with daily activities. This suggests that dreaming serves similar functions across species, processing experiences, consolidating memories, and perhaps simulating future actions. However, there are also important differences. The subjective quality of dreaming likely varies significantly across species depending on brain structure, sensory capabilities, and cognitive abilities. A dog's dream is probably very different from a human's in terms of sensory richness, narrative complexity, and self-awareness. An octopus's color-changing sleep may represent a completely different form of internal processing. These differences highlight the diversity of conscious experience across the animal kingdom. Rather than assuming that all animals dream in the same way humans do, it is more accurate to think of dreaming as a family of related phenomena that have evolved to meet different needs in different species. The study of animal dreaming also raises philosophical questions about consciousness. If animals experience dreamlike states, does this mean they have some form of subjective awareness during sleep? What does this tell us about the distribution of consciousness across different types of minds? While these questions may never be fully answered, the scientific evidence provides a foundation for thoughtful discussion. The presence of organized brain activity during sleep that parallels waking activity in many species suggests that animals have rich internal lives that extend beyond their waking hours. Understanding these parallels and differences can also inform how we think about human consciousness. By seeing how dreaming functions in other species, we gain perspective on our own experiences. The functions of memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and threat simulation appear to be shared across many animals, suggesting these are fundamental aspects of having a complex mind. As research advances, we are likely to learn much more about the diversity of dreaming across the animal kingdom. Each new discovery adds to our understanding of consciousness and helps us appreciate the remarkable variety of minds that have evolved on Earth. The study of animal dreaming thus contributes not only to sleep science, but also to the broader project of understanding what it means to be a conscious being. Over the course of this series, we have explored the fascinating world of animal sleep and dreaming from multiple angles: historical observations, cultural beliefs, scientific discoveries, and detailed studies of specific species. The evidence clearly shows that sleep and dreamlike states are widespread across the animal kingdom, serving important functions related to memory, learning, emotional processing, and adaptation. We have seen how ancient thinkers like Aristotle first documented animal sleep behaviors, how different cultures have understood and interpreted these states, and how modern science has transformed our understanding through EEG recordings, behavioral experiments, and advanced brain imaging. From dogs twitching in their sleep to octopuses changing color during rest, from rats replaying mazes to birds rehearsing songs, the picture that emerges is one of remarkable diversity and deep continuity. Key findings include the presence of REM sleep in mammals, birds, and some reptiles, the role of sleep in memory consolidation and emotional regulation, the existence of unihemispheric sleep in dolphins and birds, and the active sleep states observed even in some invertebrates. These discoveries have pushed back the evolutionary origins of complex sleep and dreaming by hundreds of millions of years and shown that these states serve fundamental biological purposes. At the same time, many questions remain open. We still cannot directly access the subjective experience of animals during sleep. We do not fully understand the content or phenomenology of animal dreams. We have much to learn about sleep in the vast majority of species that have not yet been studied in detail, and we continue to debate the precise functions of dreaming and how they vary across different animals. Despite these uncertainties, the overall scientific picture is clear. Dreaming is not unique to humans. Many animals experience brain states during sleep that share key features with human dreaming and appear to serve important adaptive functions. This realization deepens our appreciation for the richness of animal minds and the deep connections between humans and other species. As you listen to this series, I hope you have gained not only knowledge, but also a sense of wonder at the complexity and diversity of life on Earth. The sleeping dog beside your bed, the bird resting in its nest, the octopus in its den, all may be experiencing inner worlds that we are only beginning to understand. Thank you for joining this exploration. May your own sleep be deep and restorative, and may your dreams be gentle and renewing. Good night.